You can't coach what you don't define, and you can't grow what you don't see. Today, I'm laying the groundwork for engagement, not as a buzzword, but as a leadership mindset. Because when engagement becomes the foundation of your coaching cycles, everything else, from classroom management to instructional rigor and even teacher morale, starts to shift. Hi, friend. Are you ready to move into a leadership position? Do you have interests and ambitions that you want to pursue, but feel like you don't know how to take that next step? Maybe you want to start your own coaching or consulting agency. I'm Mel, and I help educators define their career path through correct mindset, knowing your options, and getting prepared for your career transition. I will show you how to level up your leadership skills, share your expertise in a new way, create impact on a larger scale, and put your leadership in motion. As an educator for over 20 years, I started to feel underused and like I had more to give. I knew when the time had come for me to leave the classroom and affect change on a larger level. Now, I'm ready to help you determine where your talents and skills mesh with your passions and interests. Put your leadership in motion and move into that next phase of your educational career journey. Let me help you define your career path by having the right mindset, knowing your options, and getting prepared for that next leadership position. So power up and put your leadership in motion. Welcome back to the Empowered Educator Show. I'm your host, Dr. Mel. I'm going to start a series called Engagement in Action. It'll be a series about taking the mystery out of student engagement and classroom management, and talk about how leaders can coach teachers to make it visible, measurable, and repeatable. In this first episode of the series, I'm going to talk about how to build a strong foundation. I'll connect two of the most practical and proven frameworks, which are the Get Better Faster method and Teach Like a Champion, which I've talked about both before. And I'm going to talk about how they work together to create a clear path for coaching teachers toward engagement and mastery. So let's start with the why. Engagement isn't just about keeping students busy. It's about ensuring that every student is thinking, responding, and learning. As a leader, guys, your job is to coach for that level of intentionality. You have to define engagement before you can coach it. Too often we tell our teachers, you need to engage students more, but we never really define what that looks like. You can use Teach Like a Champion techniques like cold call, no opt-out, and everybody writes to give language and structure to the engagement. When you're coaching and you're using, or if you're using the Get Better Faster method or model, you can borrow things like level of engagement, which is you looking through the coaching lens. This is where you observe what students are doing, not just what the teacher is doing. So here's a leader tip. Anchor your feedback conversations not just around what the teacher is doing, but also around what the students are doing during the lesson. Also, you need to identify leverage points. Not every coaching conversation should cover every single thing that you've seen during your coaching real-time feedback. You really want to focus on those high leverage teacher actions, which is that 10% that drives 90% of the change. Ask yourself, what's the smallest, most powerful move this teacher could make tomorrow that would change engagement immediately? It could be as simple as increasing wait time or tightening transitions. And side note, wait time is really hard for teachers. It was hard for me as a teacher to just sit in silence and give kids time to process and think. We have to model and practice what we expect to see. Great leaders don't just say, do this. They show what it looks like. Use short, focused modeling moments in your PLCs or your PD so teachers can see what you're talking about. Rehearse those teacher moves that you want to see, like scanning the room for engagement, or responding to off-task behaviors using strong voice. Now, teachers might get a little offended at some of these, but then let them know you're just modeling. Remember, practice makes permanent. So here's a leader tip. Don't skip rehearsal. Even just 2 minutes of role play can build your teacher's confidence and their capacity faster than a dozen reminders. I talked about real-time feedback a lot on this show. That is one of the methods that we use for coaching our teachers. We step into classrooms for a real short period of time. We look for that high capacity or that high leverage action step that the teacher can take to make a big impact. We look for engagement. We look for those student actions. Once your teachers see it and then they're able to practice it, they're going to need those feedback loops to refine it. And not every teacher is going to master every single piece of feedback or actionable step that you give them the first time. Sometimes it takes a couple of weeks for them to master what you're asking them to do or recommending for them to do. And once they do, you mark that off the list, and then you give them the next real-time feedback, high action or high leverage action step. And you don't give them a new one until they master the one that you gave them feedback for the first time. Sometimes it's enough just to give them the feedback during a lesson and then they can do it. Sometimes they may need more than just a verbal directive. They may need to see you do it so they can understand exactly what your mental model is. So you may have to actually step in during instruction or right after to make those micro adjustments while that learning is still fresh. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Try to get in a good rhythm of that real-time feedback. Ours is weekly. So we go into the classroom one day, we give them that real-time feedback. We come in next week, we're looking for the exact same thing. If they've mastered it, we give them a new step. If they've not mastered it, we give them more feedback. We come back the next week looking for the exact same thing until they master it. Because teachers need to master things before they move on, just the same as students do. So here's your action step this week. Walk through some of your classrooms and focus on one question. What does student engagement look like here? Write down one strength and one small action step on which you could coach teachers. You can do this just for your own comfort level and getting to know the process at first. And then next week, you can go in and you can actually start utilizing the coaching guide if you would like, and start for real, giving real-time feedback to all of your teachers each week. Now, remember, if you have a lot of teachers, you may need to work with your team. If you have an assistant principal or an instructional coach or dean of instruction, you may need to work with them at first going into classrooms so you're all on the same page, you're all using the same language, and you can teach them how to give that real-time feedback. And then you can divvy up the teachers so you're not having to see every single teacher every single week for that real-time feedback. Now, still be in classrooms, building those relationships, but don't feel like you have to own all of that real-time feedback on your own, plus coaching sessions that you would want to do later. Engagement doesn't grow by accident. It grows through clarity, coaching, and consistency. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job. If you're an aspiring administrator, then ask your building principal if you can be part of the coaching or real-time feedback if you guys do that in your buildings, and see what it feels like. Ask to be a mentor to someone who's new or needs a little bit of extra coaching in an area where you excel, and start practicing that real-time feedback and coaching with someone. Have a great weekend. I will see you back here next week. Bye-bye.